The more you know, the more you will do. The more you understand, the bigger impact you will have. And so that's why I call it huge AI. That's a tough one. You know, my biggest example for me personally is I love foreign doctors. I love it because here in the United States, I'm going to say this biasly, I feel that physicians get too used to technology. And the reason I love foreign doctors is because some of the foreign doctors don't have all these fancy tools. And so they're really used to the basics, which is a history and physical, a one-on-one, asking really good questions, doing an amazing physical exam, and not depending on a CAT scan, on MRI, and all these devices. With that said, I'm very worried that the future generation doctors are going to lose that clinical gestalt, that hands-on, that one-on-one, and they're going to overly rely on AI to the point where they'll lose their skills. And that really worries me because what if, I always tell the kids, what if there's no Wi-Fi? What if all of a sudden there's a power outage? If that doctor's 100% there, not used to using his hands per se, then what's going to happen? So I really encourage my doctors, yes, use AI, but make sure you're using this thing up here because if AI is gone, what's going to happen? The second, we've already mentioned already the bias. Obviously, that's an issue. And I tell people when I travel around the world, if you're using AI on a data set that was created for, let's just pretend New York City, and we are in India, the data sets are different. What the AI is going to recommend to the population in New York may not be the same recommendations in India. And so we need to make sure that the data is done correctly and it addresses the right population. And in fact, I encourage people to create their own AI in their own ecosystems. I'm an AI futurist in the sense that I build my own AI companies. I also at one point owned my own emergency room, so I understand the C-suite. And then the last, obviously, as a doctor. So I'm able to combine all three to address this. Oh, I wonder if I answered the wrong question. I was looking at my thing here, but no, but I covered that. Sorry. What are the biggest misconceptions of AI? Okay. Okay, got it.
Go ahead.
So when I think of the common misconceptions, when I literally go around the world speaking about AI in healthcare, the number one I hear is AI is going to replace humans. And I totally understand that. But I want you to think outside the box. See, I did a TED talk about the five senses and how AI can augment them. And here's what I want you to understand. AI can actually augment my senses. You see, if I'm trying to diagnose you, I'm limited to what my eyes see, hear, touch, taste, smell. But if I use AI to augment my horizons, to see outside of what I can literally see, then I can take better care of you. Let me give you an example. On the vision portion, there's AI right now that this camera feed will let me know if you're a pre-diabetic. Let me say it again. The camera feed will tell me if you're a pre-diabetic. That's one way of AI. If I'm doing a telemedicine conference with you, being able to tell me, hey, your patient has pre-diabetes. You may need a screen for that. Another quick example, I'm getting older. I don't hear as well as I used to. And if I'm listening to your heart, again, I'm limited by what my human ears can hear. But if I'm leveraging AI to hear things outside of what physically I can even hear, now I'm able to hear things that maybe I can diagnose you with early heart disease. See, here's quick examples of how people are misconceiving how AI works. The other is, oh, AI is just for tech companies. I'm not in tech, I'm out. Well, unfortunately or fortunately, AI is in everything. And we need to accept this and again, learn the good, the bad, and the unknown so we know how to integrate this into our business. See, I love the 3Ds in AI, and let me go over each one of them. See, as a doctor, we get burnout. And as an ER doctor, I can say we get burnout quickly, especially when working 24/7 in the 2 in the morning days. I want to sleep, and I know I'm working in the middle of the night. So let's go over the first D. dull documentation. I hate the paperwork. But again, my example earlier, when we talk about using AI to leverage this conversation that we're having and then documenting everything, how nice. That's one less thing. I have some doctors that I've managed, and unfortunately, they've stayed at work 2 to 3 hours after just doing documentation. They've actually come to the office on their day off to finish documentation. That should not happen. Another reason why they burn out. Second is the dirty bureaucracy. Having the AI help us through the workflow helps us not have to deal with that. And the third D is that data is heavy. That pattern recognition, there's so much information. Example, as an ER doctor, patients come in and they literally will bring me a laundry list of all of their history from when they were born till today and say, here you go. That's so much information. And not that I don't want to go through it, but unfortunately, I have so many patients that are literally dying in front of me. So I need to be able to go through all that information. But if I have AI to find patterns that I can't see or find things in the data that I didn't realize was there, now I'm giving the best care. And what matters the most is patience.
Why do we wait to see the doctor when it's too late? If you think about it, a lot of us are bad about going to the doctor, including myself. I look at this statistic. It says 12 million adults every year in the United States are misdiagnosed. To me, there's no excuse. That's one too many. But think about that number. 12 million people in the United States are misdiagnosed. See, our bodies, to me, it's like a ship. There's holes in our bodies, and we're sinking. And healthcare, we're putting Band-Aids, we're trying to help you, but the damage has been done. We need to reinforce that ship. We need a lighthouse. Think of it as a light to show that ship where to go, warn us where dangers are coming. And so I started looking at Mark. It's a patient of mine. I'm changing all the names because of HIPAA reasons. And Mark, 45-year-old, and came in with nausea, fatigue, and by the time I diagnosed him, he ended up having end-stage diabetes. Basically, his pancreas was shot, his kidneys were shot. There was nothing I could do for him other than put him on insulin, and he was on his deathbed. And I thought, man, what if I could just rewind time? What if I could get to Mark before he had diabetes? The prior stage would have been pre-diabetes, knowing that his sugar was high. There's some new technology out there that the voice can tell me if they're diabetic, just with the voice. This camera feed that's going on right now, that feed can be pushed through AI and can say this person has pre-diabetes. A person that has diabetes more than likely will die 6 to 10 years sooner. I love my dad, I love my family. Every minute counts, and if I could give them an extra year, I would do it in a heartbeat. The second story, I've never told anyone in public. I don't talk about it, not even my close friends, so I'm going to share it. You see, I worked my butt off to be a doctor, and I graduated emergency medicine. I was so excited. I was like, yes, I'm a doctor. I was in the emergency room, my first shift, and all of a sudden, started getting migraines. And I'm like, that's odd. So I went to the doctor, as much as I don't like going to doctors, and the doctors did x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, did this painful lumbar puncture on my back, really painful. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. They were like, Harvey, here's your pill. You'll be fine. Next time you get a headache, just take this pill. So I said, all right. Took the pill. I was getting a little migraine. 30 minutes later, I told my wife, call 911, have the ambulance here immediately. By the time the ambulance got there, they checked my sugar. My sugar dropped down to 20, and I had just had dinner too. And then all of a sudden, the paramedic came in and I said, please put a tube down my throat. I'm about to die in front of you. I blanked out. I was in the emergency room. The doctors all knew me. They're like, Harvey, what's up? And they're like, what's your date of birth? That's usually the first thing to verify your identification. And I couldn't say anything. In fact, my whole left side was paralyzed. And then when I was talking to the doctor, all I could say was 1, 1, 1. Scared the crap out of me. And so fast forward, I was in the ICU for a whole 7 days. I was now a doctor that I could hear everything, but I couldn't say anything, and I couldn't really move. So fast forward, I came out of it. A week later, I was in and out of consciousness, and I spoke like a stroke patient. And then I knew back then that I didn't have AI. So me being a doctor, I'm like, I got to figure out what the heck happened to me. It ended up being an adverse drug reaction that caused my brain to have a vasospasm that caused me to have a stroke-like appearance. And so my point is here, I wish I had AI. I wish I had something to help me understand. I would have those monitors to tell me, hey, red flag, something's about to happen.
I love this. I really think it's all about knowing your audience. You see, as a serial entrepreneur, starting different companies, thinking outside the box, I'm able to leverage how to speak to different people. I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I needed to speak to a C-suite of individuals of different industries. I took my AI presentation and I took those different people and I integrated into it to give me the examples so that when I'm speaking, I'm able to speak to the C-suite of Nike, the C-suite of Teladoc. And then every example is customized to that person. As a C-suite, at one point that I was the CEO of a major healthcare company, I know what things they're looking for, what they're listening to, so I can pivot around that. As an entrepreneur, the best part is thinking outside the box, not going with the stream, be able to see things that others don't. And literally, that's what I enjoy giving into these talks. When I use these different props, this is called the Rabbit R1. I have no stocks, $200, but the skinny is this. When I'm doing my presentations, if I want, I can speak to this and it'll create the image and I can put it into my PowerPoint. I can tell it, hey, I need some research on the latest tools in AI and healthcare. And it'll hear me, it'll find information, and then I'll be able to put it into a PowerPoint. Being able to customize is so important. The number one thing, I want people to walk away with a huge AI impact. And that's actually my acronym. H for hope. I want them to walk away with hope of, wow, I didn't realize that AI could do this. This is how it could change my industry. U for urgency. AI is not going anywhere and it's affecting all of us. And I'm urgently encouraging everyone that we must use AI or at least see how we can leverage AI for our particular needs. The G is for growth. We need to grow. We need to level up on our AI understanding, not just using ChatGPT and making images and memes. Let's use it for healthcare. My other example I gave you with the 5 senses, there's a technology of AI that literally smells. What if we put this AI in the airport and let's say, God forbid, there's some biological outbreak, but the AI is smelling, being able to say, hey, anthrax was just released. We need to close this wing. We need to shut this airport down so this doesn't go everywhere. These are the things we need to do. And then the last is empowerment. We need to empower you with the knowledge. The more you know, the more you will do. The more you understand, the bigger impact you will have. And so that's why I call it huge AI.